What's up YouTube? It's Matt with That Jeep Adventure, and today we are going to be getting the engine out of our donor CJ here. Last video I showed you how to get the fenders, the hood, the grill off, and we unhooked some wires to get down to this point to get the engine ready to be pulled out. All we have to do today is get the bell housing unbolted from the engine and unbolt the motor mounts, and the 258 should be ready to come out. Previously in the last video I had discussed not being sure if I was going to remove the transmission and the transfer case and the engine all as one, or if I was just going to unhook it at the bell housing and try to pull just the engine. I'm thinking after looking at it now it won't be too bad to pull just the engine, so I think ultimately it's going to be less work that way, so that's what I'm going to do. I've never really shown y'all the bottom of this CJ of our donor here. Just lots of rust in the tub. The frame has some rust as well. So I mean, even though it runs and it doesn't look that bad on the outside, underneath it is pretty rough. You can see the previous owner patched the floor pan with road signs, which I thought was pretty funny. But this body is just, I mean, it's had it. I mean, somebody could probably rebuild it, but I don't have the tools or the know-how to begin to do that. So that's why we jumped on the 79 that we're moving all this over to, because the frame and body on that one was in awesome shape. Alright, so we got all the bolts off this piece. It came off pretty easy. So now we have to get the pedal assembly off of that little cap piece, so we can get it off and get it out. So now that the cover is gone, we can get the transmission bell housing bolts out. We'll get the top ones from here, and the other ones we should be able to get from the underside, and get the engine ready to come out. I got the shop crane rolled over here. I'm going to start by taking the starter off just to get it out of the way, and then I'm going to wrap chains kind of around the block and start supporting it with the crane while I unbolt the bell housing bolts. Starter out. Now onto the bell housing bolts. Alright, so we got all the bolts off of the flywheel dust shield down there. There was 5 of them. 2 of the bolts attached right here and helped hold the clutch linkage on. So we dropped those bolts out, and actually you can see right here, these were between that clutch linkage and the firewall, or between the clutch linkage and the bell housing dust cover. I don't know if that's factory. I mean, I guess it is. It's just a bunch of shims. So I don't know. If y'all know if that's factory, comment in the video, because I would like to know. Alright, so now that the bolts are all out of the dust shield, we're going to get that pulled off. And then we can go inside the Jeep and use that little access panel and try to start getting the bolts out of the top part of the bell housing. Alright, so pulling all of these bolts out of the bell housing, I want to remember where they went. So I showed you this in the last video when I pulled the engine out of the 79. So I'm just going to show you again. Basically, I just kind of draw an outline shape of like what the bell housing looks like. And this one I did a little different. I drew my drawing small and then put where the holes were, and then drew a little line so I can put my bolt out here. I just didn't have a big enough piece of cardboard. Usually I draw this thing like almost to size, and then just stick the bolts back in there, but this will work for now. All right, well, everything is free. The engine should be ready to come out. So I'm about to hook it up to this engine hoist and then give her a go. See what I'm gonna be working with. All right, so I'm getting a little ahead of myself again. We still have the motor mount bolts, but I am gonna go ahead and hook the engine to the hoist so we can get these motor mount bolts out safely. I don't expect the motor just to like fall out, but you never know, better safe than sorry. So hook the motor up, motor mount bolts out, and then pull the engine. All right, so the engine is a little farther back than my arm is gonna reach. So to get it a little closer, I'm gonna take this front bumper off. I mean, that'll give us another 4 inches towards the engine. So I'm gonna pop that bumper off real quick. All right, so the bumper is off. We got the hoist closer. Now it's hitting the cross member on the front of the frame. So we can't get any closer there. I extended the arm out one more length, which gave me about 4 inches, but that puts my lift at 500 pounds, and this hole puts it at 1,000 pounds. So I Googled how heavy is the 258, and I don't know if you can see this, but 525 pounds fully assembled with all the accessories and everything, which this doesn't really have any accessories on it, but I know that I'm still pushing that 500-pound limit, so it makes me nervous. It would probably be okay, but I'm not going to put something heavier on the lift than what it says it can take, and I do not suggest that anybody else do it either. So I'm going to move the arm back in one, and I'm just going to have to do a little more finagling to get the engine out probably. Alright, now the motor mounts are out. Should be nothing holding the engine in there now. So I'm going to lift up on the jack just a little bit and try to kind of ease the motor out, like sliding it back away from the transmission. So it's going to have to come straight back for a few inches to unmate from the transmission. So going to just work it back as slow as we can and just take it easy. Alright, so it's not wanting to slide out just super easy. I added a ratchet strap to the back side of the engine so I could kind of pick up on it on its own. So we're going to see if this helps. Basically, I've got a jack under the bell housing, kind of lifting up on it since I'm picking up on the front of the motor here with this. You know, in my head, it made more sense to pick up the bell housing so everything's kind of in line. So hopefully the addition of this extra little strap, which will allow me to pick up on just the back of the engine, will help this thing slide out. Alright, finally got the motor out. Once I got all the necessary bolts out, it kind of popped right out. So it wasn't too difficult, just had to make sure I had everything unhooked. So now we're about to get the Jeep out of the shop to make room. Right now I've got the frame kind of pushed in the aisle, so the frame from the other Jeep kind of pushed into the aisle here, so it's just in the way. Before I get this one out of here, this is actually a windshield frame off of a later style CJ than this 74. So this windshield frame is actually going to fit our 79. So I'm going to take this off real quick, and then we are going to use the new brake booster and the reservoir that is on this Jeep too. So we're going to pop that off too, and then we're going to get this Jeep rolled out and get it put in my other little shed, we're just going to keep it out there in case I need anything else off of it along the way. Alright, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. We got the 258 out, we got the windshield frame off, and we got the brake booster off. So that should be pretty much everything that we're going to use off of the 74, our donor here. So the next thing I'm going to do is roll this out of the shop, put it in one of my other buildings just in case I need to pick anything off of it. I'm going to get the frame for the 79 rolled over into this bay. Just to make some room in the shop. Alright, so I'm going to roll this out of the shop. Videos coming up is going to be changing out some of these things on the engine. We have the T150 rebuild coming up. I'm going to be going over to George's, and George is going to walk us through the T150, and I'm going to make sure to document that really good because a lot of people have been asking where that video is at. So anyway, follow along here on the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button. We've got more Jeep videos coming. We're just about halfway through this rebuild, so there's plenty more videos. So subscribe to the channel, and if you don't already, go follow us on Instagram at That Jeep Adventure.